Hello, Dr. Tobin. My name is Sergey Semenov, and today we'll be presenting the life cycle of soybeans, specifically the glycine max species. So, to give a quick overview, inside an ovary, right here, there is an ovule. And an ovule is diploid, and an ovule is also where the sperm will fertilize an egg and form a zygote, which will also be diploid. The zygote will then develop into an embryo, and once it develops into an embryo, it will also have an endosperm in it, which is 3N, triploid, and it also have a diploid seed coat. The seed then falls to the fertile ground and starts to germinate until it becomes a plant with flowers. So to start things off, I would like to focus on the male part of the reproduction. The male part consists of a filament and anther. Here we can see that the anther, which is diploid, will give rise to has microsporangium in it, and the microsporangium will give rise to microsporocytes via mitosis, which is and microsporocytes are diploid. Then the microsporocytes then will give rise to microspores, which are haploid, and the microspores via meiosis will then give rise to the pollen. The pollen grains, which are haploid, will make their way inside the stigma, then through the style, and will form a pollen tube and produce sperm, which are haploid and considered to be male gametophyte. And this process occurs via mitosis. Now, to kind of cover up the female process now. The female parts of the flower consist of the stigma, the style, and the ovary, and they can be summarized as the carpel. Now, the female part occurs pretty much inside the ovary. There will be 6 ovules right here. Each of the ovules is diploid, and inside each ovule you will find a megasporangium, which is this covering right here. The megasporangium is diploid, and it will give rise to megaspores. Megaspores are haploid, and this process occurs via meiosis. Now, out of the 4 megaspores, there will be only one surviving, which is the big one right here. And the surviving megaspore will turn into an egg, which is haploid. And it will then get fertilized by the sperm right here. So the sperm will travel down the pollen tube and make its way inside the ovule. Inside the ovule you can find the antipodal cells. Then in the middle there is central cell. There are 2 synergids surrounding the haploid egg, and once the sperm makes its way into the ovule, it will fertilize the egg by releasing the sperm right here. And this process is specific to angiosperms, as there will be a double fertilization occurring. So once the sperm will travel through the pollen tube, through the style, and then through the micropyle right here, it will fertilize the egg as well as the central cell, which will then become an endosperm. And once this process is finished, the endosperm will grow along with the embryo and a seed coat, which makes up the seed. There will be a heart-shaped flower specific to soybeans, and then the seed will germinate and produce a new flower from which the new soybeans will be made. Now, to contrast this process to the animal life cycle, there are many similarities between the 2 cycles, but one of the major differences is that in the life cycle of angiosperms, such as soybeans, the self-fertilization is possible, where in animals or mammals, such as humans, that would not be possible. So in the animals, adult male and adult female have reproductive structures such as the testes and ovaries for male and female respectively. The testes, via meiosis, will produce sperm, similarly to this process right here with the anther. The anther is kind of the testes of the angiosperms, of the flowers of angiosperms. Then through meiosis, sperm will the sperm will then come and fertilize the egg. The egg is found in the female reproductive structure, ovaries, and once the sperm fertilizes the egg, we'll get a fertilized egg, fertilization. The fertilized egg will then give rise to a zygote. The zygote will then give rise to an embryo, and the embryo will give rise to baby, which will, with time, about 18 years, develop into adult male and adult female. However, the adult male and female the adult females are able to bear children once they hit puberty. Now, to contrast the life cycle of soybean and pine trees, or angiosperms and gymnosperms, although there are many similarities where, such as sperm and egg in gymnosperms come together, fertilize, and give rise to an embryo, the embryo and the seed coat then develop into a seed with wing-like structures like shown here, and once the seed falls to the ground, it produces a seedling, which will then become a diploid mature sporophyte with time. However, the main differences are in structures, as well as things like, for an example, angiosperms have flowers, fruit-covered seeds, and double fertilization, while gymnosperms do not have flowers, have naked seeds, so don't have fruit, and they do not undergo double fertilization. So the main differences are in structure. The female part of the angiosperm or soybean is a carpel, while in gymnosperms or pines it is a female cone with ovules right here displayed. The male structure is also different, as there are male cones, and male cones also give rise to microsporocytes, and they also have microsporangium, which then fertilize the ovules inside the female cone, and will eventually give rise to an embryo, which is displayed right here. And the embryo is dispersed the embryo of gymnosperms is dispersed via wind, while in angiosperms the dispersion occurs via animals and insects mostly. Thank you.